In 2009, the gaming community was introduced to Halo 3 ODST, an outstanding masterpiece with a phenomenal campaign and the first integration of Firefight. Now, almost exactly 10 years later, we have leaks and a full reveal trailer for the next Halo installment, Halo Infinite. From the look of the trailer and the leaks, Halo Infinite is looking more and more promising and open compared to the linear campaigns of Halos 4 and 5. And because of this, I believe that Halo Infinite can learn from Halo 3 ODST in a few different ways. So hey you guys, it's Halo Doggo here, and here's what Halo Infinite can learn from Halo 3 ODST. So as basically every single Halo player knows, Halo 3 ODST doesn't have any multiplayer at all, so multiplayer isn't really going to be a big focus of this video. It's more going to be about Halo Infinite's campaign and how Halo 3 ODST can help out Halo Infinite's campaign, and also the possible firefight mode. Also, this list is going to be 5 different things, so it's going to start at number 1, which is the most likely thing to happen, and I think would be really cool. And then number 5 is just kind of like on the lower end of it. So let's get straight into this. So number 1, which is the most probable thing that I think is going to happen to Halo Infinite, just basing it off of the trailer, is a semi-open world aspect. But when I say open world, I don't mean like, Destiny open world or something. I mean like Halo 3 ODST had, where it had the main storyline missions, where you played as flashback characters, you played as Buck and Mickey and Dutch and everyone, and then you would go to the Rookie in the 6 hours into the future, and you would play through his perspective, but in an open world environment, which this is the only time that we actually see an open world environment in Halo at all. Halo CE also kind of did this because of how expansive the levels were. There were many different paths that you could go, but it was never open world like Halo 3 ODST was. And when you look at the Halo Infinite trailer, just basing it off of the trailer, we have no 100% proof that it's going to be open world or anything, but just basing it off of the trailer, you can tell that it could most likely be open world, and I think that it would really benefit the game, considering the fact that Halos 4 and 5 were both very, very linear games. Practically, you were just running in a straight line the whole time, and it almost felt like you were just in a whole bunch of hallways. Like, for example, on the mission Battle of Sunayon, it didn't even feel like you were in this big war or anything. It just kind of felt like you were running through a couple of hallways and then killing some enemies, and then you get to the hunter part, and it has like a couple of different areas you can go to, but it's really nothing. It's just kind of boring, and it's just kind of how that game is. But when you look at Halo 3 ODST, you get to explore the world of New Mombasa, and you get to experience audio logs and stuff like that. And although there wasn't very much to do in the open world, I think that with Halo Infinite they could add maybe side missions, or maybe that's where you'll find like some secret skulls or something. Or maybe you could even find helmets for multiplayer or something, like if you search hard enough, your exploration could find you some legendary gear for multiplayer, which I think would be a great idea. So then going on to number 2, varying day and night missions. So of course, in every single Halo game there are day and night missions, but when you look at the newer Halo games like Halos 4 and 5, you really don't even have a flashlight. Like in Halo 4, of course you get the Promethean vision, but first of all you get that halfway through the game. You also don't even get to use it for like really any amount of time. It only lasts for about 4 seconds, and it's really not as good as some of the other armor abilities. And on top of that, it's not really that useful. I mean, you can see through walls, so it is kind of useful in multiplayer, but from a campaign standpoint, it's really not that helpful at all. And then when you look at Halo 5, there's really only one mission in the entire game where you actually have to use a flashlight. And what's weird about Halo 5 is that there is no flashlight really, because you can't turn it on at will like in the previous Halo games. So it's just kind of weird, because you just randomly have a flashlight for one mission and then you never get to use it again. And I think that that's what those Halo games were missing, was just like those dark and eerie sections that, you know, I think that Halo Infinite is going to have the Flood in it, which I think is what everyone is thinking, because it's going to be on a Halo ring again. And I want to have more sections like that, where you have to pull out your flashlight, and it's almost like a mini horror game to an extent. Like, I mean, it can't be too scary because Halo isn't really a horror game, but you get the idea. You know, it shouldn't just be, you know, just bright and daytime. And I think that Halo 3 ODST did it the best, because, you know, you had the visor mode and you could still see in the night, and it even outlined the enemies. But I think that we need some missions like that, not just one part of a single mission in Halo 5 and then absolutely nothing in Halo 4. I think that we need some parts like that, so it gives the Flood more of an eerie feeling, and so it just feels more varying in the missions, so it just doesn't all blend in and feel the same. So for number 3, this is actually for Firefight, and oh my god, what I wouldn't give to have ODST Firefight back. So of course it wouldn't be the actual ODST Firefight just ported into Halo Infinite, but I'd like to see the implementation of Firefight again, and not like Halo Reaches where it doesn't feel as enjoying as Halo 3 ODSTs, but I'd like to have the customization of Reaches and have the replayability of ODSTs, along with an idea that I've had. This would be a great way to put classic Halo characters like Sergeant Johnson or Miranda Keyes or something like that. Like, what if you would actually be able to play as those characters in Firefight by, you know, going through the Halo Infinite open world and finding them, maybe, like, finding something in the campaign that links back to them, and then you'd be able to play as that character in Firefight. Isn't that just a great idea? Or is that just not a good idea? Tell me in the comments, because I really think that it would be cool to be able to unlock characters like in Halo 3 ODST, where you could choose any of the Halo 3 ODST squad mates and play as them in there, and on top of that, you could play as Sergeant Johnson if you pre-ordered the game, which I thought was really cool as well. So that's just an idea that I had, and also what I wouldn't give to have an actual firefight mode in Halo Infinite. That would be a great thing. So number 4, different perspectives in the campaign. So wait a minute. Halo 5 did this, and they did it terribly. I don't mean the way that they did it in Halo 5, but I mean the way that they did it in Halo 3 ODST, which I think that they did it a lot better in that game than Halo 5. And what they could do is maybe they could have like a couple of side missions from the Halo Infinite open world where you play as Buck, or maybe you play as Locke or something, and you know, you would just play the side mission as one of those characters. You know, because they would have the Chief for the main story, which I think would be very good because there wasn't enough Chief in Halo 5. And then you would have the side missions where you could play as some of the other characters that you've played as before. Like maybe there would be an Arbiter mission, and then a Locke mission, and then a Buck mission. You know, stuff like that would just be really cool to see. And it would also bring more variety to the gameplay, along with maybe those characters having special weapons, like, for example, Buck having a silenced SMG or something because he used to be an ODST, and then Locke having a special battle rifle, and then the Arbiter just having the Prophet's Bane energy sword or something. It's something cool like that. So that's just my ideas, and that's also basing it off of Halo 3 ODST, where in Halo 3 ODST you could play as different characters throughout the campaign. I mean, you didn't really have a choice of who you wanted to play as, but you had the flashback missions where you'd play as Buck and Dutch and all the other characters. I can't really remember all their names. But it always brought variety to the missions because, you know, each of them had different weapons. You know, for example, Dutch had the Spartan laser and Romeo had the sniper rifle. And I just think that it would be a really cool idea for that to happen. So finally, number 5, which is probably the least probable thing to happen, but I would like to see some of the various enemies in Halo 3 ODST come back to Halo Infinite. Because when you compare Halo 5 and Halo 4 to Halo 3 ODST, they were missing a couple of types of enemies. First of all, they were missing the Brutes. So I feel like, if anything, the Brutes are going to come back to Halo Infinite. That's like the most probable of the enemies to come back, because they were literally in Halo Wars 2. The other enemies that weren't featured in Halo 4 or 5 were the Engineers and the Drones. So in Halo 3 ODST, I thought that the Engineers were actually a really fun enemy to fight because they were never in any other Halo game, or they at least weren't implemented how they were in Halo 3 ODST compared to the ones in Halo Reach. In Halo Reach, they didn't have the explosives strapped to them, they also weren't shielded or anything, so they just took like 4 shots to kill. I think that Halo Infinite could implement them and kind of have them as like a healing troop, kind of like how Halo Wars 2 and 1 have them. Drones, there's not a lot of flying enemies in Halo 4 or 5, because, you know, I mean, they reskin the Grunts and the Jackals, and, you know, they have the Elites with jetpacks, but really, they're just reskins of previous enemies that we've already fought. You know, really, in Halos 4 and 5, it almost feels like Halo 1 type of enemies. When compared to Halo 3 ODST, however, the Elites aren't really in that one, but they have Grunts, Drones, Engineers, Brutes, Hunters, Jackals, just a whole bunch of different enemy types compared to Halo 4 and 5. So I think that Halo Infinite could implement the Brutes really well, because, you know, they're literally in Halo Wars 2, so I think that they're the most probable ones, and also the Brutes are just really a lot of fun to fight, like in almost literally every single Halo game. Engineers, I would love to see them back, but that they were really only in 2 Halo games, I don't know if they're going to be coming back compared to the other probable ones, which are the Drones. The Drones, I could see them making a comeback, because they were in more than just 2 Halo games, and they were also just something different, you know? Like, they were just flying bugs. And really, when you look at all the other Halo games, the enemies, they don't really have a lot of flying enemies besides just the Elites with jetpacks. So I think that a re-implementation of those 3 enemies would be really nice, along with the other 4 things that I've talked about. So I'm getting the video right here. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Tell me your thoughts on these 5 different subjects in the comments, or on Twitter at HaloDoggo, because I really want to know your guys' thoughts on this. Like, are these 5 choices good for Halo Infinite? Do you think that they will make or break Halo Infinite? Tell me also if you like Halo 3 ODST and would like to see a sequel to that as well, because I did make a video on that a little while ago, if Halo 3 ODST should have a sequel. And really, it is an underrated Halo game. I think that it should definitely have a sequel, and I think that Halo Infinite can definitely learn from Halo 3 ODST. So I will see you guys in the next video.